Hi guys, it's Cam, and today I'm going to be filming an editing tutorial showing you how I edited this senior picture. So I did a photo shoot with the amazing Gabby. She's going to be a senior, and she's so sweet and so precious, and I thought it would be cool to take you guys kind of behind the scenes of how I edit for senior pictures, and just show kind of my process and what works for me when I edit. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's get started. We are going to be editing today this picture of the amazing Gabby. She's so beautiful, and I thought this picture was just so pretty and simple and super sweet, and it was really fun to edit too. So yeah, this is the picture we're going to be editing, and here is the before. So yeah, big difference there. You can see the before and the after. So yeah, it was a pretty big drastic change. This was at the end of the shoot, when it was getting a little bit darker outside, and so I did have to do quite a bit of like lightening and brightening of everything. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So let's get started. And I'm gonna start with this one with the exposure, just so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And let's see. I think it's always really helpful to like go to two extremes with your settings just to see what you like. And I kind of like it just right around here. I think that looks pretty true to how it looked in person. I think that look is looking pretty good. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crop the picture, because I knew when I was editing it that like I didn't like it, the super full, like the full frame. I thought it was just a little bit awkward, and so I really wanted to crop in and like focus on that awesome portrait. So I'm going to bring it in here, I think, and then let's see, it's definitely like hard for me to get my cropping right. Like I always have a hard time knowing like how close is too close or not far enough, or okay, I think that looks pretty good though. I think that looks cute. Okay, awesome. So then what I did was I went to my tone curve section just to start us off first, and I like to do kind of a little bit, bring that up just a little bit, and then I kind of go place a point in the middle and bring it up a little bit, and then I place that point down there. And honestly, if I'm being really honest, I know like kind of nothing about tone curves. I just play around with all these settings and find what works best for me. So next what we're going to go in and adjust is kind of in this basic panel here, and I'm going to bring the contrast up quite a bit. It kind of looks like a lot, but it'll even out as we get going, because yeah, I know right now that's not cute. And then I'm gonna let's play around with the shadows. I think I want to bring those up quite a bit, and then I know I want to bring the clarity up. Let's bring these whites down. It's pretty vibrant, so yeah, maybe around there. It looks pretty good. And then I'm thinking let's adjust the blacks just a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, but I do think there's a lot of color in her skin, like too much orange, so I'm going to bring this vibrance down 5. You can see already, I think that's looking quite a bit better. Okay, awesome. I might bring these highlights up just a tiny bit to add a little bit more brightness to the face. Okay, so then I'm going to go play around with the hue, saturation, I did not say that right, the hue, saturation, and luminance panels, just to see kind of how I can adjust skin tones, because for me like the most important thing ever when editing is getting the skin tones perfect, like as close as you can to how they were in real life. So I want to show a little bit more like the pink that was in her lipstick, so I'm going to make the reds a little bit more pink. Yeah, I think that's cute. And then the orange, it's looking a little red purpley for me, so I'm going to make it a little bit more yellow. Okay, I like that. And then I'm going to make the yellows a little bit more green, just a little bit. Yeah, and I think that's looking good. And then saturation, I do want to take the orange down. I think I'm just going to take that down about like 5 here. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay, but I will take the luminance down on the orange just a little bit, because Gabby was pretty tan at this shoot, and so yeah, that looks good. And then I might take actually the saturation up, no. Okay, I might bring bring the yellow saturation down just a tiny bit as well. Okay, and I think the orange luminance is too far down, so we're gonna go maybe half that. Yeah, okay, that's looking pretty good. So then what I'm gonna do is, let's see, I might play around with my split toning just a little bit. I might want to put, see, split toning is so much fun. There's so much you can do. I kind of really love a little bit of blue in there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And I want to keep the saturation pretty low on that because you don't want it to be too much, because then you can look a little like fake. So then I'm going to add a little bit of warmth to everything here. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So I think now it's time to start skin retouching. And so I know I don't do everything in Photoshop. Sorry, I think Lightroom works pretty great for skin retouching too. So let's start here. And so for seniors, you really have to find that great balance between like a good skin retouching edit where like they look natural but still feel beautiful and confident, and not going too overboard. Because I hate when like seniors look Barbies, like plastic skin, like that's not cute. So I think it's really important to leave it kind of natural and soft and pretty when you're editing. And so I try and find that like good balance, which can be difficult. It's not easy. But Gabby, as you can tell, has pretty much perfect skin. There's just a little bit of discoloration in some areas. So all I'm gonna do is take my little like clone stamp tool and just edit out a couple areas of discoloration in her skin, which is pretty much like, there's not really much to do here at all. And I am going to do a little bit more editing skin retouching wise than I normally would, only because this picture is such a close-up portrait. And so I just want to make sure that her skin looks natural but still beautiful, just so she feels confident, since it's, you know, such a close-up picture, but not go too overboard. That's kind of my strategy for a lot of things with editing. And also one thing that's big with me is like I never want to edit out like permanent features in somebody's skin. Like if you have a birthmark or, you know, a bunch of freckles or a mole or whatever, like I never think photographers should edit that out, just because I think that's something someone can't change. And so my philosophy is always I'll edit out, you know, some blemishes or some imperfections or a little bit of discoloration and that kind of stuff. Or if someone has like a little bit of a sunburn on the day of the photo shoot, like I'll help them out and edit that out. But I never think it's okay to go in and like completely change the way someone looks or make them look thinner or taller or anything like that. You know, because I've had people ask me to do that, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to change you. I will help smooth your skin a little bit, but I'm not going to change who you are. So that's just kind of my philosophy and all that. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better here. So then I'm going to go, there's literally just a couple areas, like her skin is literally perfect. Let's see, it's looking pretty good. Okay, looks like she just has one little area there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my adjustment brush. And this is also something you have to be careful not to overdo. So what I do is I just bring it kind of under the eyes or just on certain areas of the skin, and you can see kind of where I'm brushing just a little bit. I'll include that in. You can see where I'm brushing a little bit. Yeah, so I brush there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clarity and bring that down a little. And then I'll continue to just kind of brush this over areas of the skin. And this can be hard not to overdo, but I use it because I feel like it blends the colors of the skin together nicely and just helps to like create a smooth, pretty skin tone that isn't too fake. And so, but you have to be careful how much you bring down the clarity, because then it can look fake. Because like I think that's a little bit too much. So I'm going to bring that back to about right there. Yeah, I think that's looking good. We see like already that's looking so much better and so pretty and soft and natural. And so then what I'm going to do is go over eyebrows just a little bit because they were a little bit darker in person. And so I'm just gonna adjust the clarity on that. Yep, and I think that looks a little bit more how they looked in person. Okay. And so then I'm gonna do a little bit of eye retouching. And I don't do this on every photo just because it's not always necessary. And the only reason I'm doing it on this one is, again, because it's such a close-up portrait. And I think her eyes look a little bit darker because they were in so much shadow, and they looked a lot lighter and brighter in real life. So I just went in and adjusted the exposure, highlights, and the clarity on this eye. I might up the exposure a little bit more here. Maybe a little bit more. And this is also hard because you never want to overdo it and give her fake creepy looking eyes, because I've done that before and had to like way scale it back because you want it to be natural and authentic to them. And okay, I might bring up the exposure a little bit more on this eye because it was more in shadow whenever I photographed her. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And so then what I'm noticing is her neck looks a little bit orange. And so what I'm gonna do is go in, you can see I just brushed over the neck area a little bit, and I'm gonna bring the saturation down just a little so it's not so orange. And then also, if you see in like the top part of this picture, there's some weird like orange light that was on her hair. I don't really know how that got there, but that's not her natural hair color at all. And so what I'm gonna do is just brush over those parts of her hair and bring that saturation down a little bit, and then make it a little bit cooler. So adjust that temperature so it's closer to her natural. And you can't really notice it that much. I just don't want it to be super bright. So let me think. I think that was all that I did for editing on this picture. You can see the before and after is pretty crazy here. That's the before and after. I think it looks pretty good. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, or let me know if I should do any other little editing tutorials. This was actually really fun to film. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!